Hi everyone and welcome to this Tickling Tuesday. Today I will be showing you one of my favorite color combos again, and also a fun technique. This is the color combo I'm going to use. I want to use some yellow, orange and teal or aqua, which is one of my favorite combos for summery or just happy cards. And you can see I picked out some washi tapes in that colors. And I started out with some white cardstock because I wanted to spray some Mr. Huey's double yellow onto that. I closed the card with some adhesive to make sure the spray would not go inside the card. I have this spray box to keep my work surface clean, and I also have some tissue paper which should take all the excess color away so it does not smear under my card. You can see I already smeared some with my thumb, but I will cover that later. I used my heat gun to set the color because I wanted to do the video in one shot. And you can see I have this piece of cardstock with some Mr. Huey's. I did it some days ago and it's still looking wet, but it's very dry. I can rub and nothing is coming off. I used some adhesive cork, which is cool with the adhesive on the back because this allows me to use, you can see my circle cutter in this case, but you can also do a lot of things because the adhesive keeps your cutout piece in one. I also have some cork without the adhesive on the back, and I think this works much better. So I cut that out with my Martha Stewart circle cutter. I wanted to have a ring that will go onto the card, but as you could see in my color combo, there was no craft or anything like that because I want to color this piece of cork with some white color box pigment ink, and I use my dauber or my blending tool and just dab the color onto that piece of cork. And I think this has a nice rustic look because you still have a bit of the color of the cork showing through, and you have also all the texture of the cork, which looks very nice. I love textured things, but I wanted to have it in white. And I also cut out the fresh daisies from Simon Says stamp out of that cork, and there are very thin lines for the stems of the flowers, so I was not sure if this would work. It did. Well, I tore one of the stems apart, you will see that later, but it worked. I also colored that with my white pigment ink, and I started with dabbing the color onto the cork, and then I made a mistake. I started rubbing it on, and that was the point where one of the stems got torn. So dabbing is, I think, the better way. And you know, this ink stays wet for a long time, the pigment ink. So I set that aside when I was finished, and I had to check if I liked the color on my card with the yellow. I think this looks quite nice. So I set that aside to dry for a moment, and then I used the washi tapes that I took out in the beginning. The yellow and the blue one are from Bella Boulevard, and the other one is an MT masking tape. So I just put them on randomly and made sure I had a lot of torn edges because I think washi looks so good if it's torn. So I adhered some here and there. And I do this very often in a triangle shape because I think this gets your card, there is some harmony on your card, and it looks like it's, I think a triangle is a good shape for this. But I still had the problem with my smeared ink on the bottom. So you will see I forgot about the triangle shape later and just put some more washi on there. I rounded the corners with my corner chomper. I know I do this a lot of the time, but I think this looks so cool. And then I wanted to adhere my pieces. Then I realized my fingers were very white because the ink was still wet. I decided to use some clear embossing powder on that ring to try out how this looks. I knew I would have another texture then, not the nice cork texture that I like a lot. But well, the cork texture does show through a bit, because the embossing powder just sets into all the gaps a little bit. But the color changed a bit. I preferred the color without the embossing powder, so I decided to put the flowers on to the card without the embossing powder and just let it dry on my card. So this is the point where I decided this looks quite nice, and I just peeled the backing sheets off very carefully, and then I adhered the stem to the card, and no one will see that this was torn. So this is the cool thing about the cork. There are some gaps anyway, so no one knows this is, yeah, it's broken. Now I started adhering some more washi tape. No, I thought about adhering more washi tape, but first of all I wanted to stamp the sentiment. And I'm using the Kindness Matters stamp set from Neat and Tangled. And I picked the You Are and then the Wonderful stamp. So this card says You Are Wonderful. I think this works with all the fun and delighting, I don't know. Yeah, the nice colors. So yeah, I used some Simon Says Stamp black ink, because I think you get a good impression using that. And there you have the You Are Wonderful. Still, my smeared ink was not covered, so I used the washi tape and put some more torn strips on there. And that finished the card for today. I hope your mojo got tickled. Maybe you would like to play around with your cork or with some Mr. Hueys. I recently got a lot of Mr. Hueys, and I had a hard time playing around with them in the beginning, but now that I know how I want to use them, I really love them. And this double yellow is such a bright color. I love it a lot. So I hope your mojo got tickled, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.